Hey guys, welcome to another video. Travis here. Today I'm in a town called Wilcox, which is about an hour and a half from Tucson to pick up this Dodge. Now, this Dodge sat on Facebook for a little while because nobody wanted to come and get it. One, because Wilcox is kind of out of the way and people don't really want to, it's like an hour and a half in the middle of nowhere. And number two, nobody knew whether it was a gas or diesel. They didn't say it on the ad, they didn't say it in the description. There was only 3 pictures of the truck, and if you'll notice, the badging that's on the door that's supposed to say whether it's Cummins or not is gone. And the Cummins and the gassers look the exact same, so you can't tell. So I think people shied away from this truck because they had no idea. The people who are selling this, the grandfather died, and the people who are selling it don't know much about it, and they said that they think it was a diesel. So I came all the way out here, and lo and behold, it's a diesel. They did not put a picture of this on Facebook. So I got this truck for a pretty good deal because, you know, the ads and the pictures weren't very clear, but I think this is a pretty good truck. Now, this truck hasn't ran in some years because the grandpa, he died and his health got bad, and so they parked the truck. And they said before he passed, something went wrong with it. They don't know what, and he just never fixed it. So if you look on these batteries, it says 10 of 13. So the longest these batteries would last is 4 years, right? So that would put it at 2017. So the last time this truck was probably drove is probably somewhere in 2017 time frame, so 8-9 years, I'm guessing. And look at, you know, it's been sitting long enough to make a crevice in the dirt, but the truck looks pretty clean. Look at this. This is what you call an Arizona peach. Very straight truck. It's had a repaint, I can tell, because this is gray and this is gold. So I don't know if that means it's been in a wreck or what, but the truck looks pretty good, you know, just looking at it at the onset. Interior is what you would expect from a Dodge of this era. The door panel is right here in the back, if you can see that, right there. These always have a hole in them, like every single time, no matter what, they always have a hole in them. The cool thing about this truck, though, there's a master plan behind this truck. So if you'll notice, it's a manual. Everybody wants a manual, that's what makes it really cool. This truck is also a 97, which makes it have a very, very special P-pump. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. That's the whole reason I wanted this at the onset, because of the P-pump that I believed it had on it, which I'm pretty sure it does now. It's got 365,000 miles on the odometer, which is not a big deal for these 12 valves. I'm not worried about the mileage. We got our dash. Obviously, it's busted up. They all are. You never get one that has, even ones that are garaged somehow get cracked dashes, but it's complete though. Cup holder, radio, ashtray is supposed to go there. That's right. It's full of crap in here in the back, but it's really full in the bed. We're gonna have to go to a dump somewhere and dump all this out. That's why she lowered the price for me, because she doesn't want this on her property. She wants me to get rid of it, so they knocked the price down a little bit. So I got this truck for a fair deal. Bed sides look pretty straight. Doesn't sound like Bondo. If it was Bondo, you would hear just like a thud. So looking underneath, that is definitely a Dana 80. You can tell because the tube slims up right here. See on the bottom where it sort of gets a little thinner? The Dana 70s, which is what most of these trucks came with, the tube was just the same length the whole way. You can tell immediately when the tube near the end there starts to thin out. That's how you know it's a Dana 80. And the differential itself is extremely beefy. They're beefier than a Dana 70. They have more webbing right there on the bottom and the top. And then that's how you tell right away, is that. It's the easiest way to tell. So the manuals came a little more heavy duty. They had a different P-pump in 96 to 98, which I'll talk about in a minute. The manuals also had Dana 80s, more than likely, which is a heavier duty rear end. I don't know if it's got 411s or 354s or what, but it don't really matter. So again, there's a bunch of stuff in the bed that we're probably gonna throw away. But look, it's got everything. I mean, it's got its tail lights, tailgate, it's got the bumper. How's that looking? Yeah, the bumper looks good. Oh, see, 15. See, yep. I was even late at 17. 2015 was the last time it was registered, so that's 11 years ago. Anyway, bumper looks good. It's got a trailer hitch right there. Tailgate looks
it looks good, I guess.
I mean, it looks like it has everything all the way down to the hubcaps and most all the trim. Rims, hubcaps, trim, and then the trim that's fallen off is literally right here on the ground. That's the trim for the door and the cab. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put this in the trunk right now. I mean, the truck just sat outside for so long. It's only glued on, just fell right off right where the truck sat. And then coming into the engine, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see when you like pick something up. Has everything down to the batteries, the air box, turbo, engine, alternator, even the belts on it. I mean, if something is not extremely wrong internally, this is a score. This is an absolute score. Oh, look, it's even got Hydro Boost. That's nice. That's better than vacuum brakes, more heavy duty. Oh, look, there's another piece of trim right there. Put that in the truck too. As far as getting this truck out of here, it's going to be kind of a trick because there's a square body right here that they're also trying to sell, and there's also a square body crew cab long bed dually they're trying to sell here. But the problem is both of those are in the way of me getting into the truck frontal ways, and a tree. Got a mesquite tree plus 2 trucks. So what I was thinking of doing was, I don't know, this truck is really heavy to be pulling the front. I was thinking of backing the trailer up over here and then taking the winch and just like kind of trying to drag the front off to the side, kind of cock it a little bit so I could get it on the trailer. Because I have room over here. Let me think about this. What I was thinking I could do was back the trailer up as far as I can, because there's quite a bit of deck before you get to the wheels. Obviously you can't drive through this. There's thorns on these all over the place. You'll pop your tire. But like if I could back up and let the deck down, that's not going to hurt the trailer, and pull it straight. But then I don't know, tear this lady's tree up. I don't know if she's going to like that, because I'm going to probably tear that thing up. But I don't know. Probably have to turn the wheel and pull it the other way. Just be safe. Oh man, hard to turn. Hook it around the frame rail. That's much better. Ooh, there is a lot of Bondo in that tailgate. All chained down, everything looks good to go. The doors are shut. Let's see, is this head shut? There we go. That would have been bad. Now it's shut. Now we got about an hour and a half drive back to Tucson. We got a couple of hills and canyons and interstate. Watch our gauges. Make it back home safe. Record me.
This way?
No.
This way?
Turn around. Oh, yeah. It's the next day now. I got back in late with the truck. I'm taking it to the dump right now to get rid of all the stuff that's in the bed. It'll take me weeks or I don't even know, a month or two to get rid of all that stuff in the bed through my own trash can. I said earlier I would explain the pump situation and why I really wanted this truck. Now, I've been doing a lot of Dodge content lately. I've been trying to stay away from it because, you know, it's just a lot of Dodge stuff. But this came up. It was a really good deal. It has a very specific P-pump on it that I want to use for my drag truck. So anyone that wants to make any kind of power with these trucks, the 94 to 98.5 P-pumps are the cream of the crop. It's what everybody wants and uses. Well, there's 3 different kinds of P-pumps in those years. They had a 160 horsepower rated pump, a 180 horsepower rated pump, and a 215 horsepower rated pump. Now, obviously, everybody wants the 215 pump. They're scarce, they're hard to find, and when you get one, you better covet it with your life because everyone's looking for one. I called Power Driven Diesel up, and they said that they have a waiting list of about 10 guys that are willing to pay for a built 215 pump, but they don't have any. They don't have any 215 pumps to rebuild to send out to people. So they got a waiting list of like 10 people. So you're on your own finding one. And the 215 pumps only came on 96 to 98 manuals. Manuals only, not automatics or anything. So 96 to 98 manuals. This is a 97 manual. So hopefully, if it hasn't been switched or changed, it should have the 215 pump. If that's the case, and this truck runs and whatever, I'm gonna take the 215 pump off, send it to Power Driven Diesel, have them max it out, built to the hilt, because I'm gonna put that on my drag truck, my Drag Rio, and I'll put another injection pump on this truck. It'll be just fine. It won't run any different. I have another P pump in the shed that I will put on this engine, and you know, it'll run like a top. It'll be no problem. So that's the master plan behind getting this truck, and the reason why I just had to have it. Because how often do you get the chance to get yourself a 215 pump? It's not often. And anybody that has one that knows what they have, they're not selling it to you. So that's the deal.
I done good.
Dad done good with the camera. Yeah, when we got up to the counter, went over the scales, the lady said, "What can I do for you? What are you dumping?" I said, "Can I dump this truck here?" She had no idea what to say. I said, "No, I'm just kidding." Can you imagine what they would do if those workers saw you tilting this trailer, unload the winch and let the truck off and just drive off?
We're gonna have to get up there and start kicking that stuff out of there.
Got a garden gnome. Oh, this is a pool.
Yeah. Maybe this would pull a bunch of it out. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is Craftsman stuff. Keep all that Craftsman stuff. Watching for treasure.
That's why I brought Dad along. That is...
Wow.
It's cool.
It never ends. Look, somebody bringing their $3,000 jacuzzi to the dump.
It's one thing about jacuzzis, they ain't worth a thin penny, and once you buy it, you better just realize it was a sunk cost. Because it'll end up at the dump, free on the side of the road, or on Facebook for free. All right, time for us to skedaddle. So as you all know, here is the Rio drag truck that if we have a 215 pump, that pump should be going on there. We'll push that truck up close to the shop. We'll pressure wash the rest of the bed. We'll pressure wash the engine because it's pretty filthy. And then we will take the throttle linkage off the side, look at the numbers, and see if it's a 215 pump. order to get to the plate that shows you the numbers of the pump, you have to take off this throttle housing, and there's 3 bolts that hold it on. Okay, let's call Power Driven Diesel, give them the numbers off the pump. Hey, this is Travis. I had a question for you. I have a truck that I believe has a 215 pump on it, and I have the numbers off the side of the pump. Can you tell me if it's a 215?
Yeah. I see the last 3 digits for that 402736 number.
913.
Yep, that's 215.
Oh, it's a 215. It's a 215. Hey, that's good news.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's awesome. Okay, good. Man, I'm happy. I can take that pump off, send it to you guys, and have you build it and max it out, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I'm all out of test batteries. I had to go buy a new battery. You guys need to check your local Walmarts because they're just starting to do this around me. I don't know if they've been doing this around you guys, but in the battery section, they have a little stand right next to the batteries where they sell used batteries, but like they're not even used, and they discount them. So like if people come in and buy the wrong battery and return it like the next day or something like that, and there's really nothing wrong with it, they'll take the battery back and then they'll put it back for sale, but they can't sell it for the price that they sold it originally for because it's not new, even though it really is new. And look at this, I bought this for $74.88. These are $100. I looked on the shelf, literally right on the shelf, they're $100, and they have any battery, all types of car batteries, big and small. You obviously don't know what you're gonna get when you go in there, but when you're dealing with old stuff like this, and you can kind of mix and match batteries and you can put whatever you can find in there, that is such a great option. And another little tool I like that they sell at Harbor Freight, they sell kits of different wire wheels, and they'll come with like these little cylinder ones in there, and these are perfect size for cleaning battery terminals. These are almost always gunked up. They sell the double one that's like a hand crank where it's a brush on one side and then it's a brush on the inside. One's for this, one's for this, but this is like 10 times faster and it's easier on your wrists. Get that negative cable. Oh, these things. I hate when people put these on there. See how loose that is? Almost every time you get these are always a bad connection. And since they're open to the air and not closed up like how they come from the factory, they get corroded really easily. See that? And that. I think the clutch has to be. Cool. Really no shaft end play. And spins free, I don't know. can tell the condition, you know, if it's all slopped out and it doesn't really spin. Engine was ran hard for a lot of miles, but that's fine. So we'll go ahead and pop these injector lines loose, bleed it. Let's see if it'll start. I took that intake horn off. I got a piece of wood right here because sometimes when these things start after sitting for a long time, the injection pump will be stuck in the full throttle position. I think that's how it rests to start the truck. When it on startup, the rack is at full throttle to give it fuel to start, and then it backs off once it starts running. But if they're stuck, they won't back off, and you'll have a runaway, and you'll ruin your nice good motor in about 30 seconds. We've started them up on the channel before. It's not just, you know, an act of foolishness to have that piece of wood. We've started them up where they immediately run away, and if you don't have that piece of wood there, you're done. So that is the injection pump main feed, and I loosened it up, and I'm gonna hit the bulb on the injection pump lift pump. I'm hitting it right now, and if there's fuel in the tank and the lift pump is working, we should get fuel out of there. Oh, there it comes. Nice green fuel. We can shut her down. The injection pump's getting fuel. Try it again. Okay, no fuel yet. Stop. I'm not seeing nothing.
It's starting to show oil pressure, so.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, looking like the gauge is going up.
All right, stop. Yeah, we're not getting nothing. Nothing's coming out the barrels. Okay, that was the air fuel control housing. Now we have to take the, they call this the fuel plate. This right here limits rack travel, so it can travel all the way up until it hits that notch, and then it won't travel any further. So you can see this is the fuel shutoff, right? This is on, and then this is off. So when the truck shuts off, this goes all the way down, shuts the fuel off. And you can see that? So the rack is moving, and that's what you want to see. So it's not stuck like I thought. I had one that was so stuck, when you would do this, it felt like it was hitting a rock. I mean, it would not do anything. You should feel like a stop and then a push. You can feel it on the outside. Free, stop, and then like a spring-loaded mechanism. That's what shuts it off. So it's moving. Yep, it's turning. Alright, I wanted to check something on this. Now, when I hit the plunger on the lift pump, I'm reaching down, it's kind of far down there. So I'm pumping it, Still pumping. There. So now, but look at that. You just have to pump it a lot. There. Now it's getting some. See how it's not, it should be, every time that cam comes around, it should be pop, 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 like flowing, you know, pushing every time. Do it again. Alright. But why, when I hit the plunger, will it do it? But when you do that, it won't. So, it's kind of confusing. So before I go ripping that fuel pump off, because they want $230 for one from O'Reilly, I think I may have one on a junk engine in my shed, but I don't even want to have to rob that if this is good. Those fuel heaters are known for aerating and causing that problem. And it's almost impossible to see from here. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's so far in there. I may have to get to it from the fender well and show you, but yeah. So once you take the inner fender lining off, you can see it. If you look in here, so the thing with that black plunger there, that's the lift pump. That's what supplies the injection pump with just your low pressure, you know, diesel fuel. It's not super fancy. All it is a fuel pump, like a small block. Sits there and rides on the cam. But anyway, this is the problem. Maybe I've had problems out of these before. So that thing with the wires on it, right, hanging off to the left, that's a fuel heater, and a lot of people just get rid of them. They don't really do a whole lot. If you lived in super cold climates, maybe, but there's O-rings in there, and those O-rings can go bad, and they just start sucking air. And so what'll happen is it'll run, you know, like the fuel pump will be working, but it's just constantly sucking in air. So the truck will run and then run bad, like it's missing, like it's starving, and then it'll run good, and then it'll cut off, because that thing's just, you know, a little bit of fuel, a little bit of air, a little bit of fuel, a little bit of air. That's exactly what the problem was on that red truck that Dad and I did the flying drive on from Wyoming. That red truck way out there in the corner. It did almost the same thing. You'd pump the plunger, and then you would get fuel, and then you would try and start it, and then it would act like it would want to run, and then it wouldn't. And then it would kind of run, and then it would sputter and die, and we couldn't figure it out, but we bypassed that fuel heater. I'm not saying that's the problem with this, but I'm going to try that first before taking the lift pump off. Alright, now that the tire's off, we can see in here a little bit better. There's a lot going on in here. It's a little tight, but so I got a hose going straight from the lift pump wrapped around to the fuel coming from the truck. And if I hit this, see, there's nothing. See there, it's coming now. See? But this lift pump could be bad, because I'm pumping and I'm not getting nothing. I'm pumping it, I'm not getting really much of nothing. Okay. Go ahead and crank it. Make sure it's in neutral. Yeah, it's coming. So I got a parts engine back here that I bought last year. This truck was blown up. I needed the P pump off of it for the flying drive on the red Wyoming truck. So I've been robbing parts off of this kind of when I need. May need to rob the lift pump off of it. Let's take a look. Look at that. That's how it should look every time. Bam, 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 bam. Just tons of fuel. That other one is not, it's not doing that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lift pump off. We'll put the one on. I contacted O'Reilly about one We can't have Rock Auto shipped to Arizona anymore. They got some tax beef with Arizona. That's where I would order one, but I can't get Rock Auto right now, which really sucks because I love Rock Auto. O'Reilly wants $240 for one, which is insane. It's just a fuel pump. All it is an on-the-block fuel pump. It's just a low-pressure, you know, $50 pump. It's not even that special. So we'll rob this one. And that right there is why I got this truck for 800 bucks. Okay, so I got both the fuel pumps off, and this is the one that came off the truck. This is the one that came off my parts engine. And here's the bulb that you press when you're trying to prime it. And when you press it, you can't, when I lift my finger off, there's no suction noise. Nothing. And then when you do this one, hear that? That poof. It's pulling a vacuum. So this one for sure is working. Before we put it on, we're going to cut this off, because what you have to have a plate. See how this is like a, I mean, it's about as thick as a delete plate, but you can't just bolt the pump onto the block because it'll bottom out. It needs this plate so that it can keep some of its travel. So we don't need this fuel heater. Whether you're hot rodding the truck or it's a stock truck or whatever, it doesn't really matter. The truck already has a grid heater to help it start in cold weather. The fuel heater, I don't know why they put these on, but you don't really need it. Plus in Arizona, you do not need this for sure. It'll make it easier. It's just this big old thing hanging off the side in there is a pain in the neck. Got the replacement lift pump bolted on the block. No more fuel heater. We'll see if that works. Yeah, definitely. Definitely getting fuel. I think we're ready to start it up. Everything's back together. Intake horn, everything's tightened down. I got the injectors loose. Let me make sure that the plunger on the solenoid's coming up. I had to put a different one on it. The other one wasn't working right. Nothing yet, but the fuel solenoid is working. Oh, we're getting some bubbles up on number 3. Oh, we're getting fuel on 5. We're getting it.
Yeah. The accelerator must not be hooked up because I was accelerating it and it wasn't accelerating.
Oh. Yeah, the accelerator rod, they had it zip tied on because the little ball snap,
Oh.
it won't stay on.
Okay.
So what happened was that Heim joint right there, that little brass piece, I bought a new one. That's from Ace Hardware. It hooks into the throttle so you can, you know, operate your throttle back and forth. This is what was on it, and you can see they had it zip tied on because this is supposed to snap in, but it's obviously worn and gutted. So I put a new one on, so we'll see, you know, if it works. It should work. So it's charging. I can see on the gauge it's charging, but no tach. That's probably why they added an external voltage regulator. I can see one outside on the inner fender. See how the tach isn't working? There's an external regulator right there. The charging system on these trucks is wired in with the tach. So the crank position sensor reads engine RPM, and when you start the truck and the crank position sensor starts making the tach work, that tells the computer that the engine's running, and so it kicks the alternator in. Well, if the tach isn't working or the crank position sensor is bad or whatever and the tach is reading 0, it will never charge because the computer does not register that the engine's running even though it is. So probably what happened to him is, you know, crank position sensor may have went out, the computer may have went out, and tach quit working, it quits charging at the same time. He probably got sick of messing with it, put an external regulator on it, called it good. You can tell when the truck was parked because this was on the sun visor. It's a calendar, January of 2012. Oh, look at that, Powerball, you're playing the lotto. And if you look at the date codes on the tires, it's the second week of 2011. Radio works. Dash lights, headlights, signals. Oil pressure's not really as high as I'd like it to be if that's reading accurate. That's well below 40. It's charging kind of high, well over 14 volts. I'll have to get a meter on the battery, see if that's accurate. Temperature is also getting higher than I want. It's just sitting here idling, and that's almost 190. It should not be that high. If it's just sitting here idling, not even under a load, it should be kind of in between there and here. It should be sort of in the middle right here. My truck doesn't get to 190 unless I'm hauling a load hot in the, you know, in the summer. Now you can see it coming back down. You see it? So the thermostat must have just opened. I mean, I'm pretty much watching that in real time. Good, good. That's exactly what you want to see. That's where it should be. 14.7. That's a little high. I mean, the battery was, I guess, a little bit dead. We've been cranking on it a lot. Oh well, as long as we don't start smelling sulfur, it's alright. We're getting a pretty good diesel leak down here. It's that return line. See it leaking? Probably need to just tighten up that hose. Hard to see, but there's some oil right beneath that water pump. I don't know where that's coming from. It's coming from right beside the water pump. So I'm not saying that this is the problem, but it could be the problem. It's worth checking. So right down here is the crank position sensor. The gap between the harmonic balancer and the sensor is supposed to be 50 thousandths, but if you can see here, I mean, the air gap is, I'm just moving that thing up and down.
Is it still magnetized?
Yeah, it's magnetized, but yeah, the gap is just crazy.
I don't know, we'll set it to 50 thousandths and see if the tack starts working, but the gap is nuts on that. I pushed that sensor all the way down as far as I could, as close to the harmonic balancer as I could, and I couldn't quite get it to 50. I started the truck, there's still no tack or anything, so I'm like, what in the world? So then I got to looking at this harmonic balancer, or some people call it a damper, technically, but whatever, harmonic balancer, and I noticed that there's no notches in it. So the 94 to 98s had a notch on either side for the crank position sensor because that's how it reads. It's extremely close, and it's almost like HEI ignition where it makes and breaks, makes and breaks. The magnet will recognize along this surface, and then when it hits the gap, it doesn't read anything, and the faster that spins, the faster it makes and breaks, and that's how the tack recognizes how fast it's going. And this one doesn't have any notches. It's smooth all the way around.
So this is my personal 98 12 valve, and if you look at the harmonic balancer,
See that notch right there? And right there? That gap sort of breaks the circuit, and that's how it counts.
and again, if you look at my Cummins drag truck, you'll see that I still have the factory harmonic balancer, and it's got the notches in it right there. But I don't really need this harmonic balancer with the notches in it on this truck because I'm not using the factory wiring harness anyway. All my gauges are hooked up manually. I called O'Reilly looking to buy one, and I had no idea how hard those were to get until literally just now. They can't even get one, and then if you look online, all the harmonic balancers without notches, 89 to 91 and 98 to 02, don't have the notches. You can get those for like 80, 90 bucks. The 94 to 98s with the notches in them are like 350, 400 bucks. I had no idea they were that rare. I may take the harmonic balancer off this truck and put it on that one. So I obviously can't get one, and I don't really feel like spending $400.
All right, got the belt off.
That's exactly what happened.
That's where all his problems began.
Yeah.
Rubber gave out on the original one. He said it probably started causing a vibration. He said, what the heck? Goes to look at new harmonic balancer, says, why is one 300 and one's 80? And the parts guy says, well, it'll fit. Well, it does fit, but he don't realize that the notches mean something. Goes to crank the truck up, none of his electronics work. And that's when he goes and puts the external regulator on it to bypass the computer and calls it good. That's investigative journalism. I do thank Cummins for making those easy to get off, because harmonic balancers are notoriously a pain.
This thing's been on there hundreds of years.
So you can see the difference in these two. See how this one's kind of got a thinner ring, and then this one's got a thicker, how much thicker it is than this one. Just as a side note, it's pretty difficult to put a tack on a diesel if you don't have one, like say on the 89 and 90 Cummins that did not have a tack. When you actually start trying to go put a tack on one, it's a little bit tricky because there's no high energy ignition system to pull a signal from. That's how all tacks work essentially on cars and all that stuff. They read from the coil or whatever. That's how timing lights work. The light blinks because it's got a signal from the spark plug wires and everything. That's how tacks typically work. So how do you put one on a diesel? I had to figure out what I was going to do. So Autometer and ISPRO sell a tack setup that one of them runs off of the alternator. It like plumbs into the alternator somehow to get an electrical signal. But those gauges are like $300 to $500 for a tack because it has to read off of something, and that technology is expensive. I put a tiny tack on here. So actually this one, just if you're looking to put a tack on an old diesel truck with no reading, or a tractor or a forklift or something like that, all it does is it has some kind of quartz technology. I don't even know how it works, to tell you the truth. It clamps around the injection line and it reads the pulse from the injection line, and that's how it counts. And it has this little digital display in here that tells you, you know, when it's running, it'll give you, well, it's an hour meter. It's telling me how many hours are on, but when you run it, it'll tell you what your RPM is. This was the cheapest, most efficient, easiest thing to put on the truck. This was like $100. Came with everything. You put 12 volts to the display, you clamp that thing around the injection line, you have a tack. Super easy to install, and it was pretty cheap. Cheapest option I found. Got the harmonic balancer put on, got the belt put back on. I have the crank sensor gapped at 50 thousandths. I'm pretty sure we have the voltage regulator that they put on it unhooked so it doesn't feed anything weird back into the battery. So yeah, we'll try it. Dang it. Should be picking something up. So it's the next day now, but yesterday Dad and I did some diagnosticating off camera after we ran it that first time, and we found just some really weird stuff that I'm not even sure how to explain why. So let me tell you what we found. So we cranked it up and tack no worky, right? Even with the correct harmonic balancer on it. So I was disappointed. I'm like, I just robbed a $300 harmonic balancer off my truck just for this thing not to work. Maybe it's the crank sensor, maybe it's the computer. Now you're looking into electronics. So what we did was we probed this. So these wires right here are the connectors that go down to the crank position sensor. You can see there's actually some copper exposed on them. Now it's supposed to have a 5-volt reference from the computer, which is right there. So we put our probe on it, a voltmeter, and it was reading 2 volts. It's supposed to read 5. If it reads below that, you have issues with the computer or whatever. So it was reading 2 volts. Okay, well, something's wrong with the computer. So I'm like, all right, well, you know, if it's a computer problem, then really there's not much I can do about it. Like, what, get it reflashed, reprogrammed, buy another one? I mean, it's too much. So I was like, all right, I had Dad hold the probe on the wire and I unplugged this. I'm like, all right, I just unplugged it. And Dad said, hey, now it's reading 5 volts. I plug it in, it reads 2 volts. I unplug it, it reads 5 volts. I said, okay, we'll go start the truck with that unplugged. Now we have tack, which is kind of wild. Why would that, that makes no sense. But still no charging. It just doesn't add up. And another thing, when you first go to turn the truck on, again, this is with it unplugged, all these lights come on. Water and fuel, airbag, oil, gen, check engine, all that stuff, and then they go out and whatever. So when I plug it back in though, just kind of do that. Go in here to turn the truck on, and none of those lights come on. Check engine light and all that, whatever, the water and fuel, none of that comes on, and the tack won't work when I crank it open. But if I unplug it, all those lights work and the tack works. Confusing. Don't know what's up there. I tried looking on the forums to see if someone's had that exact problem, and nobody has. So I don't know why unplugging that makes all that stuff work. There could be some short, like
I thought maybe a sensor could be shorted, you know, and it's like getting back to the computer and making everything not work. There could be a short in the PCM, not too sure, but I think we may have to move on from this problem for now, because ultimately you could leave that unplugged, you know, and let the tach work, but then hook that external voltage regulator back up and make it charge. Not 100% to the bottom of all of that. We may figure that out, I don't know, but we'll have to move on for now and just keep fixing other issues. Oh, one thing I did fix yesterday, remember that fuel leak that was going from that return hose? I put a new hose from the return line on the pump to the truck, so it doesn't leak fuel there anymore. But we have another leak, which is kind of odd. We have an oil leak up here that I'm not sure where it's coming from. And as a quick side note, I am going to put this harmonic balancer on my race Cummins. And actually, with this being so much thinner, it's actually considerably lighter. Lower rotating mass helps you make horsepower. This may make me 1 extra horsepower. I don't know. Anything I can get helps. If some people think like a heavy flywheel or a heavy harmonic balancer actually helps add horsepower because like it soaks up vibration and it makes the engine run like so smooth that it helps make horsepower. And actually Engine Masters with, you know, Freiberger and Dulcich and that old white-haired guy, cool dude, I can't remember his name. They did a test on this and they had like a heavy flywheel on it, and then they took the flywheel off and then they put like something super light on it to lower the rotating mass. What they found was having a lighter rotating mass does make more power, because even a harmonic balancer like that or a flywheel, every single thing you have to rotate takes horsepower. And the lighter that you can make the rotating assembly, the more horsepower you make. All right, so I have the test light hooked to positive, and I'm going to be testing for grounds if we're having a grounding out problem. So 10 should be the generator field or the alternator field. 22. Go jiggle those VSS wires.
Yeah, it's VSS, not alternator.
So pin 27 should be the vehicle speed sensor. Yep, the light's on.
Yeah, we got
Off, on, off.
Yeah, we got it.
So the vehicle speed sensor is grounding out. That's not supposed to do that. This is the vehicle speed sensor connector. Uh-oh. Looky there. Look at those wires. They're grounding out against each other. So there you go. We got a culprit right there. So we'll have to fix that. So Dad's going to reconnect those wires down there. And I'm going to look at this air conditioner because I noticed, I was down here looking and I saw this. I think there's a hole in this condenser. See that? That is a straight up hole. Whoa. It does have pressure in it. How is that possible? I was going to put a new condenser in it, but I'm not sure how that's possible. Well, now that the air conditioner's fixed, I guess I'll watch you do these.
Yeah, we need to get these down. Once that's down, there's no problem with getting to them to fix them.
I got a razor right there.
Yeah, give me them side cuts. I'm just gonna cut this and cut this.
Want some butt connectors and a...
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to get better access to the wires. They've done a real good job wrapping these wires. See, this probably happened after it was parked, not before.
Yeah, probably.
So.
Alright, got the vehicle speed sensor plugged back in and hopefully fixed. Alright, you can go ahead and start it. I have this computer still unplugged.
Okay, I plugged it in. Is the tach still working? Are we getting a good speedo?
Speedo's working.
Fix the speedo and the tach.
So we're back to our original deal of probably the charging system inside the computer is no good.
All right, let's see. Let me just check it with a meter. What? It's coming up?
It what?
Showing 13.3, which is a little bit low. I'm going to pressure wash around where this oil leak is, because between the old grease and the new oil and all this caked on crap, I can't tell heads or tails where anything's coming from. I've been letting it run for a little while, and I don't see any leaks. I'm just watching for anything that may be dripping down. I don't see anything coming from here. It does look like we have a power steering drip though, coming from the box. Power steering was low. There's that leak. There's a leak right there. Remember I pointed that out earlier in the video? I definitely made sure to clean that off, and it's bad. It almost looks like that timing cover is cracked right there. I'll put an arrow. Can you see that? See it? Definitely a leak. So I took the serpentine belt and the crank position sensor off, and if I'm not mistaken, that looks like a crack in the timing cover. Crazy, I've never seen that happen. And if you kind of look up there to the top right, you can see the aluminum. And I think this tan stuff is some goop that they've put on there previously for that. So I think somebody's noticed this before. Sure enough. Wow, I've never seen that. Oh my gosh. Mix up a little bit of JB Quick, slap it on there, and hopefully we'll stop it. Because in order to actually change that timing cover, it's a lot of work. You gotta take off the timing cover, all the gears inside, the crank gear, cam gear, pump gear. I mean, you don't want to be doing that. I mean, that's the kind of thing you do when you're rebuilding an engine, is do that thing. So we'll see if this works. Cleaned it off real good with some brake clean. We'll lather it on there. It sets in like 6 minutes, but it dries in 4 to 6 hours. But either way, we'll start putting the crank position sensor in the belt. I want to see if the air conditioner works or not. So we've been checking to see if we can get this air conditioner to work, and it wouldn't come on. So we were checking, there's a low and a high pressure sensor. There's one right on top of the accumulator, that's the low pressure. And there's a high pressure connector right there. The purpose of those switches is if the Freon gets so low, those switches will close and it stops the computer from sending power to the compressor, so it won't run without Freon because it'll burn it up. So we were checking those and we weren't finding anything. And then Dad read online that somehow or another the air conditioner is fed constant power from the horn fuse. So we put a new 20 amp fuse in because it was blown, and the compressor started working. Got the AC on full blast. Right now we're at about 105 degrees. We're supposed to be around the green, which is 40. It'll probably end up a hair bit above that. I can never get them to run in the green. So we'll put some Freon in it and see where it goes down to. So when they're close to empty like that, they'll fluctuate a lot because when the compressor kicks on, it's pulling the pressure of the low side down. Boom, compressor kicks off, pressure rises. Compressor will kick on, bring it back down. So as I fill it, the compressor will run longer and longer. We're definitely probably full, maybe even a hair bit over full, but it's also really, really hot today. So the pressures rise when the ambient temperature rises. Showing about 65 degrees, but it's also 101. That's a 35 degree split, so that's not too bad. And we'll drive it and see if it gets cooler.
That is not right. It ain't no 126 degrees.
In that engine bay, it probably is.
Yeah, the temperature's good. Tach's working. Speedometer's working.
All right.
Yeah, everything's working.
Well, the air conditioner just quit working. I don't know why.
Blew the fuse. Maybe there's something wrong in the horn system. Maybe that's why it blew the fuse originally.
Well, good news. Now that we know that the engine's viable and the injection pump runs like a top, there's nothing wrong with the engine. Everything seems to be working great. We are going to do what I don't really like to do, and that's switching the pumps. It's a pain in the neck. These things are really big and really heavy. So here's how we're going to work this. So because this 215 pump is going to get revamped by power-driven diesel and eventually go on my drag Cummins, the obvious thing to do would be to take that pump, put it on this, take the pump on this, and put it on that. But I don't want to put this pump on that truck because I've done a lot of work to that pump and it's actually a really, really good running pump. I put delivery valves in it, AFC housing, governor springs, rack plug, truck's tuned right, runs great, and it just doesn't need to be on this truck. I want to save that pump for another application in the future because it just runs so great. So we're going to put this pump on it, which I bought from a guy in Arkansas a long time ago. Now they have different kinds of P pumps. People think a P pump is a P pump. Yeah, I got the golden goose. Well, like I was telling you earlier, there's for automotive applications, there's a 160, a 180, and a 215, and that's not all. They also have industrial injection pumps and they have ag pumps. An ag pump is an agricultural pump that was put in well, agricultural applications, and they do not have a AFC housing that is boost referenced like a regular automotive P pump. The rack only travels forward or back based on your foot pedal. Agricultural P pumps are popular with sled pullers. Industrial pumps like what this one is, I had Power Driven run the numbers on it because I didn't know what it was, and it's an industrial pump. Industrial pumps came in school buses and the like. Difference between an industrial pump is they have what you call 11 mil barrels. An automotive P pump has 12 millimeter barrels for delivering fuel. The maximum amount of power you're going to get out of this kind of P pump is about 300 horsepower. That's if you do everything like governor springs, delivery valves, tune it, all that. It's got about 300 horse in it. We don't care how much horsepower this pump has to put out because we're putting it in this truck. As long as it runs and drives like a stock truck, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. You can't just find one on Facebook and just, oh yeah, it'll work, it's great. That thing will put out 1,000 horsepower. No, they won't. You have to be careful which one you get. Wow. And then back here, this is the oil pressure feed line. Comes from the truck. And then this is the overflow valve. This controls actually your fuel pressure. There's a spring and a ball in there. The spring goes against the ball and that determines what your fuel pressure is. These are fixed, so I think from the factory it's like 20, something around 20 or 30 PSI, somewhere's in there. See it pretty good right there. There's the spring, and there's the ball right there. What they say, I've never experienced this for myself, but they say that this is the only weak point on a P pump. A P pump will basically last the life of the engine. They don't typically ever have a rebuild schedule, but since this controls your fuel pressure, that ball going up and down wears out the little pinhole, so it'll wear out and start letting fuel pass at a lower and lower PSI, and if it gets low enough your engine won't run good because there's no fuel pressure and it's just letting all the fuel go right back into the tank bypassing this, so it'll run like the idle will be real rough and it won't have a lot of power again. But they sell fixes for this. It's called a Torque Tech overflow valve. this is the pump I just took off the truck, and you can see right here, there's 3 bolts how that throttle linkage assembly bolts on, and there's a bolt here, a bolt here, and a bolt here. On this one, there's nothing, nothing, and nothing. So yeah, it's kind of gonna have to figure out something there. This is the pump that's about to go on there. I had to go get a spring from Ace Hardware because I didn't want to rob anything off of this injection pump. I had to put the fuel shutoff solenoid from the other pump onto this one because for some reason the one that came off, so this one has an automotive plug, it's nice and wide, and the other one has like a really skinny plug, so switch that around. And then I had this picked up and I was about to set it on there, and good thing I didn't because I noticed something. This is like an M14 thread on the pump, and it reduces it down to an M8 for the regular bolts. On the back of the pump right here, there's an oil feed, right? There's a line from the engine that screws on here, and it feeds it oil pressure, and I noticed it wasn't on this pump, but instead there's one of those reducer bushings, but there's the hole. See that down there? That hole is where oil goes in. So I had to go all the way down to the other side of town and buy another fitting to screw in there, but I have to take this reducer collar out in order to get this in there, which is kind of a mess. Basically fish this in there vertical almost.
You got a piece out there already?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I had to slip a bolt in the hole and weld it and then undo it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I couldn't get it with vice grips. These things are such nightmares to put in. The injection pump is bolted to the timing cover. All 4 bolts that hold it to the timing cover are tight. The overflow valve is on and tight. The oil feed line fitting worked great. That pressure feed line screwed into the pump and to the line just fine. Got the fuel feed right here to the injection pump going to the fuel filter housing. I had to take the fuel filter housing off to get the pump out because the pump has to go back quite a ways and it hits the fuel filter. So it's only 2 bolts on the intake. So I put the fuel filter housing back on, all the lines that go to that are on. The injection pump gear nut right there is on and torqued to 144 foot-pounds. The barring tool is out of the engine. We can't put all the throttle linkage gobbledygook on because I ordered some correct collars from Power Driven Diesel. And once those are in, we'll be able to put this on. But we can still bleed it and try and run it without that. You're just not gonna be able to really drive it because the throttle and the thing won't work in the cab, but you can do it by hand, so that's fine. The fuel solenoid, shutoff solenoid is hooked up. I want to bleed it without the lines on it because whatever crud is in these barrels, I want it to come out. I'm gonna pump it. Make sure to fill the fuel filter housing. And then this is the last stop before the pump. Oh, I see it coming out the... There it is. Okay, it pulled it up. Okay, yeah, I think we're looking all right. Yeah, we're getting it out of all of them. All right, go ahead. Start shutting them down.
When did you order those pieces?
Last week. But it was Thursday or Friday, so. It ought to go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Man, that worked great. Wow. Successful heart transplant. That industrial pump worked perfect. First crank, boom, started right up. All right, we got ourselves a free and clear 215 pump. Well, the engine runs great with that injection pump. I'm glad we know that it's definitely a good one. I have to wait until I get my little reducer bushing collar threaded pieces in for the pump so I can put the throttle linkage back on. So what we'll do instead is this door, it works, but the outer door handle is busted. I have a door out there, I think, that has a handle on it I may be able to use. I'll have to take this one off.
Oh, you got your key lock.
There it goes. There's where it was broke right there. So I got some second gen scrap out here. I got 2 right hand doors, a cab, and then I do have a driver's side door with what I think is a good handle. So we'll take this up there and take the handle out. Better over here.
Maybe just to put it on me. Is it on me? Is it on me?
Is the motor gone?
Man, I don't see nothing in there.
Oh, cool. It will just push up. All right. Perfect.
Look at that. They already got things in the door for big speakers.
Yeah, 6x9s.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Ain't that cute?
Cool. Now I just bolt it up and put the clips back on the little wires, those, whatever those, what do you call those wires that make it work? Those cable things? I don't know. And it'll, so if you look in there, the lock is hooked up. There it is. So Dad went home to try and get some clips. I think he said he had a few because he had to replace a door handle on his truck, and these clips, once you press them in, kind of like that's it, you know. So hopefully he comes back with a few clips maybe, and we can set this door panel back on. It'll look good again. They sell these tools that for taking these clips out. I don't have that, so just using a friggin' screwdriver. Wonder if this will work. There we go. This is a scraper from Harbor Freight that I put a notch in for putting governor springs inside P-pumps. And it works pretty good for taking clips out. It'll go over the plastic serrated thing. Not bad. Did you find some?
Look what I have.
Oh, cool. You got a whole bag.
Backwards, yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
power windows.
I can't believe that worked. Here, screw it.
There it is. Now we can find. There's that.
Just put them on.
Well, all the ones that I could, yeah. Yeah, power friggin' mirrors work. Cool. Power windows. All right. See if I can find this handle here. There's a black plastic handle with 2 screws that goes in to help it secure it to the actual door so you're not yanking on the door panel. So I found this in the back seat. This is what goes here. This is kind of busted. These holes aren't supposed to be like that. I don't have another driver's side one, so I got a couple of screws with some washers on them. We'll just go ahead and use, because these 2 screws are what the pulling is for. Yeah, all the force of you pulling is on these 2 screws. And so, yeah, because you don't want it all on just relying on the door panel. I know this does not look pretty, but
It's uglier when the whole door panel comes off. You must.
there you go. Cool, everything's put back together. Everything should work just fine. Let's try this. Power windows. All right, I'm happy. I sent that 215 P pump out to Power Driven Diesel to be rebuilt, reworked, and maxed out and everything. And right now I'm fitting slicks to it. I had to buy some rims that would fit, and this has been like a while in the works getting these slicks set up because I couldn't find rims big enough and wide enough for an 8 on 6.5 bolt pattern because it's a truck. Most cars that drag race, you know, they're 5 on 4.5, 5 on 5 lug, but this is a 3/4 ton configuration. So getting rims that were 12 wide and all that was hard. I had to grind the piss out of the calipers to get the rim to fit. These are 34 tall by 14 wide slicks. I'm going to the drag strip actually tonight with this thing. I'm going to see what it does. My biggest problem is no traction because I was using street tires, and so hopefully this gets me going. This is going to be a whole separate video. I had to take the fenders and the running boards off so these tires would fit. I had to get some wheel spacers and lug nuts, all this crazy stuff just so these slicks will fit. It's ridiculous. Well, mission accomplished with this 97 Dodge. I took it for a drive. I think the synchros in 3rd gear are going out. It doesn't really like to go into 3rd gear. I checked the trans and the diff. Fluids were okay, topped them off, but yeah, the transmission probably needs a rebuild if 3rd gear synchros are going out. Other gears shift just fine. Engine runs great, temperatures keep good. For some reason the air conditioner, it turns on, but then when you're driving it somewhere along the way it cuts out. I don't know what's going on. None of the fuses are busted. I don't know if it's one of those pressure switches, if the pressure's getting too high or too low, I don't know. But yeah, you could dump thousands more in this truck. It needs tires, that's $600. Trans rebuild, probably a clutch. That's another couple $1,000 in a few weeks worth of work. Fixing the air conditioner, it works, but whatever is going on. So yeah, the dash is cracked, the interior's stained up. It's a work truck, that's what I'm saying. Also, yeah, Dad wanted me to say that the 46. Yeah, the 46 International that helped kind of make the channel back when we were super small, like sub 10,000 subscribers. That took us all the way to about 50,000 subscribers. That 46 International we did a series on. We finally sold it. And it went to Pennsylvania of all places. A guy was out here visiting for work or family.
He was out here for work.
He was out here for work, and he came out and looked at it, bought it, and had a transporter come and get it, and that thing is all the way in Pennsylvania. So
You're going to be seeing it at car shows back there. And I told him we'd make an announcement, and he was okay with it.
if you guys are avid watchers of me and Pole Barn and Vice Grip and all these other people, and you watch all these car channels, the duct tape drags that Dad and I do every year, that's always in Tucson, but this year they switched it to Phoenix. They're doing it at the Firebird Raceway up in Phoenix, and Dalton and Junkyard Digs and me and others have stepped up to host our own event called Blue Collar Drags here at the Tucson Dragway October 9th. So theirs is October 16th and 17th. Ours is the weekend before, October 8th and 9th. So get your tickets for that now. I'll put a link to that in the description. You can get your tickets to be a spectator, to be a participant. I'm going to be taking the big Rio. I'm going to be participating. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Come out and do both weekends.
You can come out and do both weekends. But the cool thing about Blue Collar Drags is, gosh, a lot of guys are going to be there. Dalton, me, Mortsky, I think, The Inevitable Jim, Atomic Era Motors, Buff's Garage, Build Season, and Farm Truck and Asian from Street Outlaws, Farmapalooza. So they're going to be there. It's going to be a blast. Tickets are available for that now. I'm definitely going to Blue Collar Drags. At this point, I am not sure if I'm going to Duct Tape in Phoenix. I just don't know. Definitely going to be having a good time at Blue Collar Drags though. Also, there's a couple other things, you know, future videos, and I like to always update you guys whenever I remember, tell you what's going on. So let me show you a few things. The last video I put out was on this 56 Cadillac. This is my personal car that I did a video on because I haven't drove it. It's like I revived my own car. Everyone sees it in the background and always has questions, and so it was kind of cool going through this video and fixing some stuff on it and kind of talking about the history of the car and just some pictures of me building it. And it did so well that I think I'm going to do a video on my GMC. This one was the one that started it all. This was the first vehicle that I restored and that Dad and I did together. I bought this one when I was 11, almost 12 years old, and we rebuilt this truck, and there's a lot of cool history with this truck, and this is where I cut my teeth, basically learning how, you know, to restore something, to fix things, to rebuild engines, everything. This was the template, okay, for everything. So I'll buy some stuff for it. Yeah, that video will just be an excuse for me to spend some money on this truck, which is no big deal because I love this truck. I drove this thing to high school. I drove it to some college. I drove it to prom. I mean, you know, all my friends were in this truck. It was a cool truck. So we'll do a video on this. And then the 302 GMC engine. So I went to Mena, Arkansas to pick up a 50 GMC short bed, and I've been rebuilding this 302 inline 6 GMC for it, a very rare engine. And it's in this body bag here because it's been so long. Everything's been at the machine shop. And I sent the engine to be cleaned and the crank to be ground, which was done in town, but I had to have the cam ground, and I had to send that to Oregon Cam Grinding in Washington, and they were in the middle of moving shops, so it took a long time to get it back. That's why you haven't seen any updates on it. I've been just waiting for everything. So I think I pretty much have everything now. I spun a rod, so I had to get another rod, which was kind of tough. Crank had to be ground 40 under. I had to get 40 under bearings. I had to get 10 under mains. You know, I'm not going to be doing an engine like this ever again. I'm telling you that right now, because parts are a nightmare to get, and I've been having to get a hold of just one-off people, like not even like a business, just like a guy that has this or that, you know. So it's been tough getting parts for this, but I think I've rounded up everything. I got the valves. I had to get new exhaust valves because the exhaust stems were really shot, and the valves were shot. The stems were shot in the valve and on the guides. They had to do bronze guides, and it was just, you know, engine's kind of not toast, but it's war. So I think I got the camshaft and lifters in that box there. I don't know what's in those other two boxes. I order a lot of stuff. But that engine's kind of ready to go back together. So here coming up soon, I'm going to be putting this engine back together, and I'm probably going to be also doing a video on this GMC. So look out for that. The episode after this is going to be the Rio. I took the Rio back to the drag strip trying to get into the 12s. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I had to do some work to it, just fix some things and whatever, tweak it, put some slicks on it. That was the big thing. Took it to the drag strip, so watch out for that video. That one's coming next. That one's coming next. That's funny. We always thank you guys for watching these videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting and your support with your views, and you know, the people who pick up t-shirts, we appreciate that. You can pick them up at theetravisb.com. We got the button-ups, and then we have two other designs. One's a Cummins diesel design, and the other one is the 46 International. Really cool truck. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you guys very soon in the next one.
See you guys later.